The cameras flash, the crowd completely freezes. And just like that, Hollywood has a new obsession.
Oh, the energy is just electric.
Right. Picture this. You are at New York Fashion Week. The bass from the music is just vibrating through the floorboards, and two 18-year-old twins step onto the runway.
Wearing those identical, stunning purple dresses.
Exactly, and they are absolutely commanding the room. It is glamorous, it's high stakes, and is every single thing you expect from young Hollywood royalty stepping into their power.
But then you cut to a totally different scene.
Yeah, a stark gray contrast. Imagine a federal prison yard in New Jersey. A man in a simple t-shirt, shorts, and sneakers is just pacing the concrete compound.
Just a couple years ago, this is a guy who was a billionaire music mogul.
Dictating global pop culture, throwing parties that define an entire era. And today, he's just another inmate trying to get his daily steps in before lockdown.
It's an incredibly jarring visual to put side by side.
Welcome to Starscope Report. I'm Jordan.
And I'm Jamie.
Join us as we uncover Hollywood drama, music industry shakeups, and viral influencer scandals. From red carpet surprises to social media controversies, we dive deep into the stories behind the fame.
And in today's deep dive, we are looking at one of the most fascinating career pivots happening in real time.
Because today's story is based on a headline that has everyone talking. The title is, Diddy's Daughters Make Bold Career Move While He Remains in Jail.
It is a wild situation.
We've got a massive stack of sources in front of us for this deep dive, including reports from TMZ, All Hip Hop, Your Web, and Social Life magazine.
And the mission today is to unpack the bold moves of Gen Z heirs Jessie and D'Lila Combs.
Their father is, of course, Sean Diddy Combs. Okay, let's unpack this because, this isn't just standard celebrity gossip.
Not at all.
This is a real-time masterclass in crisis PR, in brand building, and honestly, it's a profound look at how Gen Z navigates extreme fame when their inherited safety net is suddenly violently pulled away.
Which is exactly why you, listening right now, should care about this. It shows exactly how modern legacy works. You can't just passively inherit an empire anymore.
No, the moment the foundation cracks, you either have to aggressively defend the old castle, or you have to rapidly pivot away from it and build your own.
And to really understand the sheer magnitude of what these 18-year-old daughters are attempting to pull off, we first have to establish the stark reality of the father's current situation.
Yeah, the vacuum of power he left behind is honestly unprecedented in the entertainment industry. I was looking at the financial reporting in these sources, and the numbers are just staggering.
Oh, the drop is massive.
Before his arrest in September 2024, Forbes estimated Sean Combs' net worth at roughly $1 billion.
A literal billionaire.
Right. He had the massive Ciroc vodka deal with Diageo, the Sean John fashion label, the sprawling music catalog, the media networks. But in under 2 years, that net worth has completely plummeted.
Current estimates place it somewhere between $400 million and $600 million.
That is a 40 to 60% destruction of wealth.
Yeah.
I mean, how does a financial empire that massive just evaporate so quickly?
Well, because we have to look at the mechanism of how celebrity wealth is actually structured.
Okay, tell me more about that.
Unlike a traditional billionaire whose wealth is tied to, say, physical real estate or proprietary tech patents, a mogul's wealth is inextricably tied to the public perception of their persona.
Ah, right. It's all about the brand.
Exactly. When a massive corporate partner like Diageo pulls out of the Ciroc deal, it isn't just a simple loss of annual income. It's a total collapse of the licensing multiplier.
Because the physical vodka hasn't changed.
Right. The vodka is the same, but the cool factor, the aura that made people pay a premium for it, becomes instantly toxic.
That makes total sense.
Yeah.
The entire ecosystem of partnerships vaporizes because the core asset, the personal brand, is no longer viable.
The product was never just the liquor or the clothing. The product was proximity to him.
Wow. And that financial freefall is happening directly parallel to a very severe legal reality. We know from the reports that he is currently serving a 50-month sentence at FCI Fort Dix.
Which is a federal prison in New Jersey.
Right. And he was convicted of 2 counts of transportation to engage in prostitution under the Mann Act. But the sources also make sure to note he was acquitted of the racketeering and sex trafficking charges.
Which is an important distinction.
Can you break down what the Mann Act actually entails and why that alone resulted in 50 months?
So the Mann Act is a federal statute that basically makes it a crime to transport someone across state lines or internationally for the purpose of prostitution or any other illegal sexual activity.
Okay.
Now, the defense argued heavily regarding the acquittals. Being acquitted of racketeering conspiracy and sex trafficking means the jury did not find him guilty of running a coordinated criminal enterprise or forcing individuals into commercial sex acts.
Right, so he beat the largest conspiracy charges.
He did. However, a conviction on the Mann Act charges alone still carries significant federal weight. Yeah, Judge Aaron Subramanian handed down a 50-month sentence alongside a $500,000 fine.
And the judge determined that the cross-state transportation, for those specific purposes, warranted substantial prison time, regardless of the acquittals.
Exactly.
It's just surreal to picture a guy who basically defined 90s hip-hop excess navigating federal prison life. Do we know what his actual day-to-day routine looks like in Fort Dix?
We do, actually. TMZ managed to get a lot of granular details on his new reality.
What are they saying?
Well, he spends about 2 hours walking the prison compound daily, usually from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m., as long as the weather permits.
Just walk in the yard.
Yeah. And he wears a hat every day, apparently. He's also taken up a job working in the facility's chapel.
Oh, the chapel. That's interesting.
Right. And he spends a lot of his time just listening to music on a prison-issued tablet.
Wow. It's a highly regimented, remarkably quiet existence compared to the life he led just 2 years ago.
Though it is worth noting his projected release date was recently moved up slightly to February 2028 based on federal sentencing guidelines.
And there is still an active legal battle happening.
Very active. His appellate attorney, Alexander Shapiro, managed to get an expedited review from the Second Circuit Court of Appeals.
And that hearing is officially set for April 9th, 2026. What does an expedited review actually mean in a federal case like this?
Well, expedited reviews are relatively rare. Typically, federal appeals can take years to wind their way through the circuit courts.
So they're fast-tracking it.
Exactly. When an appellate court grants an expedited review, they are agreeing to speed up the process. The defense team is arguing that a 50-month sentence for these specific Mann Act convictions is, in their words, draconian and unprecedented.
Draconian, wow.
Yeah, they are claiming the trial court improperly factored in conduct that he was actually acquitted of when the judge was calculating the length of the sentence.
Ah, I see. So they need this fast-tracked. Because otherwise, he could potentially serve the majority of the disputed sentence before the appeal is even fully resolved.
Precisely.
Now, we also need to mention a political rumor floating around in the media landscape.
Oh, right.
According to the sources, there have been reports that President Trump is considering a possible pardon for Combs. Now, to be absolutely clear to our listeners, we are just reporting what the sources state here.
Yes, taking absolutely no side.
Strictly neutral. We are maintaining strict impartiality on the politics. There is no concrete indication that a pardon is actually imminent, but it is a factor being heavily discussed in the news cycle.
And it introduces a total wild card into the legal timeline.
Seriously.
Because until that appeal happens in 2026, or until executive action is taken, the empire remains in a state of suspended animation.
You know, it really makes me think of a real-life corporate succession drama.
Oh, for sure.
In a normal corporate monarchy, you have a succession plan. The CEO steps down, the board votes, the kids take over.
Right.
But here, the stock is literally the family name. The patriarch is suddenly forcefully removed from the board. The company stock is plummeting because the brand is toxic.
Yeah.
And the kids are left in the boardroom trying to figure out if they should try to salvage the company or just walk away entirely.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, that analogy hits the nail on the head. Because in this specific corporate monarchy, the children are basically deciding whether to fight a hostile takeover or declare intellectual bankruptcy and start a rival firm.
And we are seeing the siblings take completely divergent paths on that front.
We really are. The sons, Justin and Christian Combs, they are actively fighting for the old company.
Engaging in direct media warfare.
Exactly. They announced a docuseries on the Zeus network to offer their family's perspective.
Right, acting as a direct counteroffensive to the Netflix documentary produced by 50 Cent.
Which the Combs team called a shameful hit piece.
But while the sons are battling it out on television, trying to save the bad boy legacy, the twin daughters chose a completely different and perhaps way more controversial path. And that's where things get really fascinating.
Yeah, Jessie and D'Lila decided they weren't going to fight for the old empire. They were going to build a new one from scratch.
It is a massive, highly public life pivot.
Right out of high school, too. In May 2025, right on their last day at Sierra Canyon School, they posted a video on TikTok.
And usually, That is when high school seniors do the customary college commitment day announcements.
Right, the classic, I'm so excited to announce I'm going to NYU post wearing the oversized college sweatshirt.
But they completely flipped that script.
They did. The twins announced they were skipping college entirely. They explicitly stated they were foregoing higher education to become business owners.
And shortly after, in July, they officially launched a unisex streetwear brand called 12TWINTY1.
Because they are trying to sever ties with the baggage of their father's name, the branding they chose is intensely personal to them as individuals.
Right. They called it 12TWINTY1, which honors their shared birthday, December 21st.
The sources break down the symbolism they put out for the launch, actually.
Yeah. The number 1 represents boldness, leadership, and the start of something new.
And the number 2 represents love, harmony, and connection, which they say is the essence of their twinhood.
And their official motto is, comfort means confidence.
They are also leaning heavily on the fact that streetwear bypasses traditional retail gatekeepers.
Right. You don't need a massive department store to stock your clothing if you can sell directly to a built-in audience online.
Exactly. And they aren't just launching this brand in a vacuum. They made their official New York Fashion Week debut in September 2025, walking for L.A. Lisquet's 10th anniversary show.
Which is huge, but they actually have a history here. Back in 2021, they debuted in Venice for Dolce & Gabbana, which was a tribute to their late mother, the model Kim Porter.
So they have been adjacent to high fashion for years.
Yeah, and they are deeply connected to elite Hollywood networks.
Very deeply. The sources point out they're receiving daily guidance from fashion icon Kimora Lee Simmons.
Daily guidance. That is wild.
They're literally talking to her every day about style, manufacturing, and the business of fashion.
Plus, they've been seen mingling with industry titans like Kim Kardashian, Kaya Gerber, and Kylie Jenner.
And we know Diddy's reaction from behind bars, too.
What did he say?
He told TMZ he is incredibly proud of them for turning an idea into a real business, praising their vision and work ethic.
But, I have to push back on this narrative a little bit.
Oh. What is standing out to you?
Well, we are framing this as a bold, brave, grassroots entrepreneurial move. But is it, really? Let's look at the reality of their situation.
Okay.
They have almost 800,000 followers on Instagram. They have Kimora Lee Simmons, a woman who built the baby fat empire on speed dial for daily consulting.
That's true.
They are partying with Kim Kardashian. Aren't they just playing the standard celebrity influencer playbook on easy mode? They have all the capital, the press contacts, and the elite connections in the world. Skipping college to sell hoodies to a massive pre-existing follower base doesn't exactly sound like a grueling uphill battle.
Look, from a purely operational standpoint, that critique is entirely valid.
Right.
They have massive structural advantages that 99.9% of entrepreneurs will never, ever see. But we have to look past the logistics and examine the psychological weight and the timing of this move.
The timing is crazy.
It really is. They launched this brand right as they graduated high school, which happened to be the exact same time they were sitting through their father's federal trial.
Right, the trial started in May.
And according to the reporting from EU Web, the twins were physically in the courtroom during the trial.
That must have been so intense.
They actually had to exit the gallery twice during incredibly graphic testimony from a male escort about their father's alleged actions.
Oh, wow.
Think about the psychological toll of that specific moment.
Yeah.
You are 18 years old, listening to horrifying accusations about your father in a federal courtroom, watching your family's billion-dollar legacy disintegrate in real time under oath.
God.
To then step out of that courtroom, publicly announce you are skipping college, and launch a brand under your own names.
It functions as a deliberate declaration of independence.
Exactly. It's a psychological survival mechanism. It is a way of planting a flag and saying, we are not the bad boy empire. We are something else entirely.
Wow. When you frame it like that, launching the brand isn't just about selling clothes or playing the influencer game. It is literally about carving out a separate identity before the old one completely pulls you under the water.
Exactly.
But carving out a new identity and entering the adult business world means facing the actual market. And later in the episode, we'll talk about the shocking twist nobody saw coming.
Oh, yeah, the digital pushback.
Because the twins' massive launch immediately collided with real-world backlash, proving that a famous last name is a double-edged sword when you step outside the protective bubble.
The transition from being a protected heir to a public business owner means you are suddenly accountable to consumer sentiment.
Right.
And the digital market pushed back almost immediately with a very serious accusation of intellectual property theft.
Here's where it gets really interesting. A fashion designer named Imanii Marshall, who's the creator of a streetwear brand called 1221 Apparel, publicly called out the Combs twins.
Right out of the gate.
In July 2025, right when the twins announced 12TWINTY1, Marshall posted a TikTok video comparing her existing logo to the twins' new logo.
And the visual similarity is what sparked the digital outrage.
Yeah, the twins used the numbers 1221 prominently on top of their brand imagery.
And Marshall, who had already been operating her brand 1221 Apparel, felt her intellectual property was being blatantly bulldozed by a much larger, better-funded entity.
I want to read an exact quote from Imanii Marshall's video because it really captures the deep frustration here.
Go for it.
She said, "I'm making this video because it's so frustrating when you put actual blood, sweat, and tears into something you care so much about. I feel like this happens to a lot of small Black-owned businesses where celebrities or big corporations will steal their ideas, they will steal their names."
That accusation instantly shifts the narrative.
Completely.
The Combs twins were trying to launch an empowering, independent brand that separated them from their father's shadow, but Marshall's video cast them in the role of the giant corporate Goliath crushing a small, independent creator.
But let me introduce some friction here.
Okay, what do you think?
Honestly, how much damage can one single TikTok video really do to a brand backed by Kimora Lee Simmons and the Kardashian network?
You'd be surprised.
I mean, the twins have 800,000 followers. They have millions in backing. Isn't this just a tiny bump in the road? A localized dispute that the general public will just forget in a week?
In the era of traditional retail, you'd be absolutely right. A small designer wouldn't have the legal funds to fight a giant, and the story would just disappear.
Right, they just bury it.
But this raises an important question about how brand equity works in the modern digital age. The mechanism of Gen Z consumer behavior has fundamentally changed.
How so?
Legally, proving trademark infringement is a slow, expensive process that requires showing actual consumer confusion in the marketplace.
Right.
But in the court of public opinion, governed by the TikTok algorithm, those legal nuances do not matter. In Gen Z influencer culture, authenticity and supporting small creators is the ultimate currency.
So the algorithm actually weaponizes the Goliath versus David dynamic.
Precisely. Gen Z audiences are inherently skeptical of Nepo babies and incredibly protective of small, independent creators.
Wow.
When an algorithm boosts a video of a small creator claiming their work was stolen by wealthy heirs, it creates a massive PR crisis.
Because the optical damage is already done.
Exactly. A plagiarism scandal against a small, Black-owned business right out of the gate can severely damage the core identity of a new brand, regardless of who their father is.
Doesn't matter who their mentors are or how much capital they have.
Nope. If the core consumer base views them as inauthentic or predatory, the hoodies simply will not sell. The audience will actively boycott as a form of social participation.
And what's wild is how the twins are actually handling it. As of the reporting in these sources, 12TWINTY1 products aren't even physically available yet.
Right, there is only a digital waitlist.
And the Combs twins have not publicly responded to Imanii Marshall's allegations at all. They are maintaining absolute silence on the issue.
It's a classic old-school PR tactic. Say absolutely nothing, don't give the story any additional oxygen, and hope the internet's short attention span moves on to the next outrage.
But that is an incredibly risky strategy in an era where consumers demand hyper-transparency and accountability from the brands they support.
Extremely risky.
So with the family empire fractured, a massive federal appeal looming in 2026 for their father, and their own brand launch mired in a grassroots controversy before a single product has even shipped. What does the ultimate endgame look like for the Combs twins?
It's the million-dollar question.
We've covered a vast amount of ground today. Let's distill what we've actually learned from this deep dive.
At its core, we are watching the real-time mechanical unraveling of a billion-dollar legacy.
Yeah.
Sean Combs is pacing a federal prison yard. His wealth is in free fall because the aura that powered it is gone, and his legal future hinges on an expedited appeal next year.
While his sons are actively fighting a media war to protect the past, his daughters, Jessie and D'Lila, are aggressively pivoting to the future.
Right. They are leaning heavily on elite Hollywood networks to carve out their own independent space in the fashion industry.
But they are finding out very quickly that the real world doesn't grade on a curve, even for Hollywood royalty.
Definitely not.
They are facing immediate grassroots backlash,
Yeah.
and they are trying to build this new identity under the incredibly heavy, dark shadow of their father's highly publicized trial.
Exactly.
For you listening, this deep dive is a perfect real-time illustration of modern celebrity economics. You can't just passively coast on a famous last name anymore.
No, in the digital age, you have to actively engage, defend, or pivot.
The inherited safety net is completely gone, and the audience is watching every single move you make, ready to hold you accountable.
The transition from inherited legacy to true independence is never clean. It requires immense psychological resilience, it is incredibly messy, it plays out in public, and ultimately it is entirely dependent on whether the consumer actually buys into the new narrative you are selling.
Which leaves us with a final provocative thought to mull over. If 12TINTY1 actually weathers this early storm, if the hoodies ship, the waitlist converts, and it manages to become a massive global brand tour, does that prove that Gen Z audiences can completely separate the sins of the father from the business of the daughters?
That is such a good question.
Or will their new empire, no matter how successful it gets, forever be tethered to the wreckage of the bad boy legacy, always just one scandal away from being pulled right back into the dark?
Something to really think about.
Think about that the next time you see a celebrity heir step into the spotlight and try to sell you their new vision. If you're loving these Hollywood twists, make sure you're subscribed. We've got even crazier stories ahead.
Stay tuned and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss what's coming next.
You've been listening to Starscope Report, where Jordan and Jamie uncover the stories shaping Hollywood, music, and pop culture. Thanks for tuning in, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories that keep the stars shining.